one thing we can definitely complain about is the performance of all of our teams in the Major League A-holes universe. We did have
Holy
it.
shit. This is probably historic on
Well,
performances.
although this year we finally had a team finish over 500 in the Chicago Cubs. All the other teams finished below 500. Your White Sox finished 500 last year, but not above. So that's an improvement. Cubs did win the Major League A-holes regular season championship for what it's worth, the first in their history.
Be
Your
so proud.
White Sox won last year, and the first year I kept track of that. Your Giants won, so it's about time one of my teams got on the board. But unfortunately,
Thank God.
it came with essentially 1 day short of making the playoffs. Big disappointment,
I have
a
questions.
collapse. What's
Yeah.
that?
I have questions after you finish. So
Okay. Well, it was a historic collapse in September. On September 6th, here I've got this all written down.
by the way, historic collapse in September. I've never heard this before.
On September 6th, the Cubs were 76-64, 12 games above 500.
Yeah.
They were only a game and a half behind Milwaukee. They were 4 games up in the wild card.
Bang! They're going to the playoffs.
They had a 92.4% chance of making the playoffs, according to Fangraphs. They then went 7-15 to close the season out.
Ouch!
And that's about. I mean, I haven't looked up what the worst collapses in September were, but that's got to be among the largest. They had, in the last week alone, they had 3 walk-off. They suffered 3 walk-off wins against them. Walk-off losses
against Atlanta, right? 2 were against Atlanta, right?
2 were, yeah, for sure. Of course, that involved the epic misplay by Seiya Suzuki, reminiscent of Brant Brown, which I've got a clip of that in the intro to this section. But yeah, just a brutal collapse. I don't know how else to put it. They built this team on pitching and defense, and the pitching and defense completely collapsed down the stretch. Really, it was strange. I don't understand. I can't explain the defense, how that suddenly fell apart. I mean, Nico Horner,
nerves,
Dansby Swanson. That's the only thing I can think. Seiya Suzuki.
That was bizarre.
The only explanation I've seen that makes some sense is he lost it in the lights, but he didn't act like he lost it. He acted like he just literally didn't understand that the ball was not headed towards his mitt. He thought it was going right into his mitt, and it just didn't do it. So it's hard to crush him because he was their best offensive player for the last month. So he was carrying the team in many ways. You know, some of the bats that had carried them throughout, Bellinger and Swanson, just went totally cold at the end too, which is concerning.
Well, that's the question of, like, you know, like, and I'm gonna throw this out there, like Cody Bellinger was in the spotlight in LA and was in hiding. Then he comes to the Cubs and there's not the expectation of being on the LA Dodgers, and he's fucking lights out, and then when it's go time, he goes into hiding. So
there's a simpler explanation for that. He changed his approach this year. He wasn't swinging for the fences.
Yeah.
Well,
what happened down the stretch though?
Pitchers started throwing him fastballs.
He can't hit fastballs?
It's a problem. With his adjustment, they figured out he can't handle fastballs, which makes me very nervous. And
well, I hope they sign him then, so I can
makes me not season. Yeah, that makes me not want the Cubs to sign him going forward, because you know we've seen how inconsistent he's been.
That means even Carlos Rodon can record an out on him.
I mean, we'll get into it, I guess, right now. But I don't want them to re-sign Bellinger. And you've already heard. Wait. What's going on?
I gotta call times here for a quick second, if you don't mind. So when we were in when I was all like the Cubs are not going to make the playoffs if they don't make significant additions, which they did not, and they did not make the playoffs. So thank you. But
oh my God.
But
enjoy your victory lap.
I said, you said, well, if they don't trade Bellinger, then there's they re-signed Bellinger. They got him for next year. That was part of the plan of not trading him and getting, when he was at a very decent value, of getting players back. That was part of the plan to re-sign Bellinger because he was going to be part of the base of this new nucleus. And now, and I don't disagree with your decision. I agree with your decision. I don't think they should sign him. I think they got the best that they're ever going to get out of him. But I also believe they missed an opportunity that they should have taken advantage of, which all I was ever trying to say, and maybe I didn't articulate it properly at that time, that they had
That'd be a shock.
I know, no, it wouldn't. But who knows? That would have been the night. It could have been the night I came back wasted to do the podcast.
But one night,
hey, I'm wasted right now. Woo! I had to make a drink tonight for a competition at the office. That's why I couldn't start till 6:30.
Oh, nice. That's why we're late. Okay, I get it. What was the drink?
It was a smoked margarita. I brought my drink smoker in. That's a skull, and smoked it with cherry wood. And because it was based off of The Exorcist, like
holy shit,
green margarita.
Yeah, I didn't realize this is a long conversation.
Yeah, but I'm done with it. It had to be movie themed, and it was October, so we went with, me and my partner went with The Exorcist. But
you were kind of cool office. That sounds fun.
It is a great office. The dynamic is awesome. But let's move on to baseball.
Yes,
let's digress back to what this is about.
So you're going to tell us how right you were about what? Are you going to ask me a question, or what's going on here?
I said they should trade Marcus Stroman. They should trade Cody Bellinger, and every Cub fan, including you, and I called you at the time. For the first time in my life, I called you a true Cub fan, and you bought into it all. That they should not do any of those things, and they did not. And I feel like they missed a huge opportunity to make themselves, because I'm going to give Jed Hoyer a shit ton of fucking credit that I didn't give him at the beginning of the season. And maybe part of it's Theo too. That farm system is not as bad as people made it out to be.
That's Jed though.
Okay. So it's Jed. Kudos to fucking Jed. Yeah. And if they can, and maybe not signing Bellinger, maybe finding something to do with Stroman, gets them the offseason acquisitions they need to be competitive from April through the end of the year. But my question is, David Ross.
Oh, wow. We are all over the place here.
For a team that was supposed to win 74 games, I got
77.
77, excuse me. I got an argument with Chicago White Sox Mike. He made a comment that jackass. He made a comment that, well, this is why I never want one of my favorite players to be a coach, because David Ross, blah, 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 blah. And I said, I don't understand. And I agree with Tom Ricketts giving his endorsement to Ross. This team was supposed to do shit.
Yeah.
And he got every fucking ounce he could out of this team. Now, you can criticize him for whatever happened down the stretch, but I don't think it's anything for what he did. It's what was left in what he had to work with. And
they didn't have enough. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, they didn't do the moves they needed to do at the trade deadline to push them over the top. And, and I've been critical of David Ross over the years, but like looking at what he just did, I think he's a good fucking manager.
Yeah. I think he's going to be on the hot seat next year if they don't get it done. I don't think there was any chance he would be like on the hot seat this year. The expectations, like you said, things shift obviously as they go 12 games over 500 after being 10 games below 500 at one point, which is historic.
Yeah, if you guys actually listen to the podcast this year and follow the Cubs on the podcast, Smitty's like going into a valley and then coming back out and
That's the
going
Cubs. I
high.
mean, what
Yeah,
do
I know.
you expected me to be like steady throughout? Like, is that a good way to be a fan? I'm not
It
sure
might
what
be
are you
Chicago's.
criticizing me or the
No, no,
fan?
I'm just saying that no, the flow of the season is insane.
Okay.
I'm not criticizing you at all. I'm
I
just
can't
saying, like,
tell. I can't tell
no,
what
no,
you're
no.
doing, but
No, no, no. I'm criticizing you on being Cubby Smitty, which I never expected at the trade deadline. I thought you would be more of a realist that they should make some moves and look towards next season because this season wasn't realistic.
I
But
think
I also understand. Now I'm gonna sound like a true politician here.
yeah.
I understand the allure based on my 101 losses. I'm getting sucked in, and as I did with the Giants too, I'm getting sucked in with that idea of we're here right now. We're in a good position. We don't need to make any major moves at the trade deadline. We'll get there.
I definitely didn't want to make major moves. But I think you're coming from it from this is I don't mean this disparagingly, but
No, go ahead.
from a White Sox perspective,
No, I'm just
that
coming in from a neutral because like I'll say the same thing about myself with the Giants.
but okay, yeah. Oh, I can't wait to talk about your trade deadline with the Giants. But the the I wasn't worried about the system. I didn't think that the farm system needed to be replenished, needed to get every possible resource from the trade deadline that they possibly could. I think they could coast a little bit. I guess maybe it was my thought process at that moment. And I think it still is. And we saw that come to fruition. How there's a lot down there, and there's a lot still coming, which is cool. It can never hurt to replenish that system or build more, but it does. I don't know. So are you arguing that I should? I don't even remember what I said at the time, but I thought they shouldn't go for it,
Yeah,
or
you thought they shouldn't make
I kind
any
of went half and half, is what I did.
you said they shouldn't make any significant trades, and I said without
Any s- I, I don't think I
one
said significant. I
they
said I
should trade
wouldn't.
the future for today, I think is maybe
Right.
what you right. And I said, well, I think they could trade like a Bellinger or a Stroman
So you're not going to
and
do that when they were in the playoff hunt at that point. So why? I just I didn't see the logic in that. I guess, but
um
I mean, it's revisionist history at this point for me or for you or for somebody. I'm not sure. I'd have to look again. It's
no, no,
been so
what
long.
I'm
So
saying is all I said is I think they should trade one of those guys for a piece.
you couldn't trade Stroman because he was hurt.
I,
Bellinger was your best player.
yeah, well, I mean, I think he could have still gotten Stroman. I think didn't Stroman come right back before the trade deadline?
I don't think so. I don't think that was the situation. I don't remember talking about Stroman at the trade deadline. It wasn't an option, but I'm not sure what just happened. But so I'm a Cubs fan, typical Cubs fan. They
Yeah, I
should
guess
have
so. That was
traded.
they should have just. I feel like they had an opportunity to get some pieces to ensure playoffs next year. That's all I'm saying.
If they won one of those two games, I'm not
But they
even gonna
didn't. But
right.
they didn't.
I'm not gonna blame. I want to come back to Seiya. I'm not gonna blame Seiya
I'm not
Suzuki for
blaming
the playoff.
anyone. I'm just saying
I'm
they
not. No,
didn't do it.
I'm starting over. I'm ignoring
Okay.
you at this point. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just starting my points all over again because I don't know what just happened. But I'm not going to blame Seiya for that. I mean, I will blame him for the play, but I don't blame him for the Cubs missing the playoffs. I blame the Cubs for missing the playoffs for losing 2 games to Pittsburgh the week before at home. That's where they lost. That's where they lost. Also, they lost games to the Marlins that they shouldn't have lost earlier in the month. So if they had won one of those games, two of those games, they would be in the playoffs, but they didn't. What they did do was make August and September compelling baseball for every Cubs fan to watch, which as as you and I well know, being fans of the teams we're fans of, that's a rare commodity these days to have meaningful games throughout August and September. And literally to the last day of the season, the Cubs did that. So I'm going to salute them for that in a season where I expected them to win 77 games
Amazing.
because I didn't think Jed made the right moves in the offseason to put him in a position to make the playoffs. So they overachieved, and like you said, that's a great way. That's a great kind of counterpoint to most Cubs fans right now are very anti Ross, which I think is ridiculous, and you do too. He did everything he could to get them into this position where he was hamstrung by they did not have a deep starting rotation, and that led to burning up the bullpen, and that's not any manager's fault when you can't get enough innings out of your starting rotation. You're going to start to burn through a bullpen that was terrific throughout most of the season and completely ran out of the gas by
Yeah,
the
no,
end.
yeah, 100%.
They got hurt, Michael Fulmer and Edbert Alzolay. The back end of the bullpen was gone for that stretch run, and it's no coincidence that that's when the collapse happened. You've got Mark Leiter Jr. out there. The only guy that could get lefties out. He was just running on fumes by the end. It wasn't a deep enough pitching staff, and this is what happens in September. You could see it coming as soon as Alzolay and Fulmer got hurt. Again, the defense failing them, I can't explain that because it had been pretty fucking good all year long. But then the other concerning part was your offensive stalwarts in Bellinger and Swanson, who is going to be around for another 6 years, didn't do a whole lot in the last month and a half. So it's a tad bit concerning. Overall, again, I'm circumspect here. I'm happy I had compelling, meaningful baseball for the last 2 months of the season from at least one of my teams. So I'm not going to be too harsh on Ross or the Cubs organization in general. But next year, I was said it over and over again. I felt in the offseason last year that Jed Hoyer was confusing activity for accomplishment. A lot of moves, a lot of money, and not a lot of substance to it. I was still concerned about the depth of the rotation. That proved to be an issue. Um, Signing two different free agent first basemen that amounted to nothing, as neither of them are on the roster anymore, with Mancini and what's his fuck? Oh my god,
Hosmer.
Hosmer. Thank you. So we'll see what they do in this offseason because they have to win the division next year. And if that doesn't happen, I think David Ross is gone. I think Jed Hoyer's job could be in jeopardy. Uh, this next year is it. This is too many years for a major market club not to be in the postseason, and it's going to get serious. So.
Wordhole Media.